All right, so for this first set of video lectures, the way I'm going to do this is I really did like the way that your book laid out chapters 1 and 2. It was very organized, it was very logical. But one thing I did want to do is it was a little bit disjointed. There was some of the same information repeated multiple times because they were trying to walk through the theories and the research and some of the common characteristics in a very systematic way of this research has found this research has found this has found this. So you did get quite a bit of repeat and quite a bit of overlap. So what I want to use this week's video lectures to do is to just condense that, bring it together, and really combine it in a way that's easy to understand. So the first set of content we're going to do is on some of the main theories. I'm going to give an overview of the three different types of theories that we're working with, and then I'm going to do each specific category of those theories and talk about some of the theories that are within that. And then I'm going to do a second topic on common characteristics seen within abuse. So some of the common actions that you see within various types of abuse, because obviously in this introduction we're talking about multiple different types of family violence. Some of the common characteristics that we know about abusers, and some of the common characteristics that we know about abuse victims, or those who feel like they're stuck in an abusive situation. So that's how this set of video lectures is going to be formatted. So I'm going to start off with talking about the three categories of explanatory models that we have whenever we're discussing abuse. So the three categories of explanatory models that we see are the psychiatric models, the social psychological models, and the sociocultural models. And I'll do a separate video for each of these to break them down further. But just as an introduction, the psychiatric models are going to be those that want to try to isolate certain personality traits, certain disorders, certain mental illnesses, certain mental statuses of the offenders to say, this person became abusive because they have this feature of their personality or they have this disorder. The substance abuse theories as a whole tend to roll into this model. There are some exceptions to that we'll get to, but usually if you're saying this happened, this substance abuse addiction was a mitigating factor of the abuse, that does tend to fit within the psychiatric models. So that's the first set of theoretical models we're going to discuss. The second set are the social psychological models. And that's when you're taking an explanation where you're saying there are some external environmental factors that are going on that are then having these ripple effects that are coming in and that are affecting the family unit. There's stressors that are playing a role on the family. Maybe there's something about the family structure that makes it at a higher risk for abuse occurring. Your textbook gets into some really interesting differences that you see in marital relationships compared to cohabiting relationships, and how that structure can affect some power imbalances and create some factors that may make abuse more or less likely. This is where some of the theories that your textbook talks about, the intergenerational transmission of family violence, would come in, right? Because what we're saying is there's this external environmental factor of this person was raised in a household where there was abuse, and they're carrying that external factor into their present family situation. And as your textbook discusses, this idea of an intergenerational transmission of family violence is pretty controversial. It's not widespread accepted. And the reason for that is fairly simple. I'm not going to do an entire lecture on this theory, but the reason for that is fairly simple, in that we kind of see it working both directions. Yes, most people who do become abusers were abused in their childhood or did witness abuse in their childhood. However, we know that a great majority of individuals who were abused as a child or who witnessed abuse in childhood actually end up kind of going the opposite direction and end up going into helping professions or end up living a life where they prioritize healthy communication with their family and protecting from abuse. So there's research going both directions. So just so you know, as you read through your textbook on that theory, it is not a wholly and unanimously accepted theory. And then so that's the social psychological theories, that there's external environmental factors that we can say this is impacting this family unit. And this is some of the explanations for the abuse. And then the third category of explanatory theories are the sociocultural theories. And there's quite a bit of overlap in the social psychological theories and the sociocultural theories. But the sociocultural theories, as the name implies, looks more widespread at what are the roles of men and women in society, if we're assuming a heterosexual partnership. What are the roles of men and women in society? What are some of the cultural attitudes towards women? And what are the acceptance levels of violence within a culture where you're having these big picture messages that are impacting the level of acceptability of abuse within a family, both the abuser believing they can get away with it and the victim feeling like they need to tolerate it. Now, note that I said if we're assuming a heterosexual relationship, your textbook does an excellent job of going through some of the special concerns you have whenever whenever you have a same-sex relationship, whenever you have an LGBTQ couple, because while a lot of these theories are going to apply to family violence, regardless of what the family structure looks like, if you're talking about a nuclear, cishet family, or whether you're talking about a remarried family or a step family, or whether you're talking about a same-sex couple or whatever it might be, a lot of these theories will apply widespread. But your textbook does do a great job of going through and discussing there are some special considerations when you're looking at same-sex couples. Some of these sociocultural theories might not be as directly applicable, but yet there are several that are, and then there are some considerations that we can give, especially if maybe one partner is out more broadly within their social circles than the others and things of that nature. And we will get into all of those issues. So that's a general overview of the three categories of theories we're going to discuss. I'm going to do one video for each of those categories and the theories that fall within it. And then I'm going to do a final follow-up video of the common forces that we typically see, the common characteristics that we typically see in family violence situations.